Dansby Swanson is officially introduced as a Chicago Cub. We break down some of his quotes and unpack the highlights from that press conference. The Zips projections from FanGraphs, where the Cubs projected, also some individual performances that we can break down as well. And one more piece to add for the Northsiders. Could it be Conforto or Mancini? Let's get to it.
Are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cubs alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Thanks for making Locked On Cubs your first listen every day. We're lifelong fans taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. And pleased to be with you for a Thursday episode. We are doing 3 regular episodes this week and next with the holidays and the new year and such. So expect us 3 days this week, 3 days next week. With the occasional pop in if there's breaking news, or perhaps if we have nowhere to go, we're stuck inside and we want to commiserate maybe on a YouTube live. We could talk about that at the end of the show. Sam, how's it going over there? And very excited to see Dansby Swanson in the Cubby Blue today.
I thought he was just terrific. You know me, I'm a big body language press conference guy. I enjoy that stuff. And I just thought he was terrific. He sounded exactly how I thought he would with the things that he said about winning, about culture, talking about his grandfather. This is the type of guy you want on your baseball team. I understand. I was at a work holiday party yesterday, and couple of people were like, well, who's the face of the Cubs, right? It's Dansby. Dansby's your face. Look, right now, that question, that's a different answer for a different day. What the Cubs are doing right now is collecting assets to help them win games. And sure, 7 for whatever, 177. Yeah, that's a big deal for somebody that is just going to be a part of the piece of the puzzle. But you got to collect those chess pieces, and listening to him today just affirmed why I was excited to get him, because he's just a winner. His intangibles, the things that he says, you could tell in his, how many times did he mention the word winning today?
Had to have been 20 years or so.
Yeah. Winning. Yeah. That's what he's here for. Winning. And it's not about.
Yeah, you love that.
Yeah, I love that, because that's what it's about. Like,
it's the most important stat, just like you said.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's, we talk about so many things and so many aspects of the game of baseball, but that's why the game of baseball is so beautiful, because you could go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts and make 2 errors, but you could make that play that wins the ball game. It's such a beautiful game in that respect. And Dansby Swanson might be one of those guys. Yeah, 270, 275, 20 home runs, whatever it is, great defense. But there's going to be plays where I bet you this year we look up and say, wow, Cubs are 34 and 25 right now. And I just feel like a lot of it's just kind of why? Because they have winners on their team. And nobody is more of a winner than him.
Yeah, and that's the record at that stage in the season. This will be a very exciting program.
And it is already.
I obviously, not obviously, I have a strong relationship with this sport, still coaching it at a high level. And so I am very fond of the language that he used the whole time, because so much of baseball at the youth levels and high school and prep has become a team game disguised as an individual sport. And while there is one-on-one confrontation, that's the main sport, right? Pitcher versus hitter. It is a team game. At the end of the day, it's a team game. And this sport, being how often it is played, there's so much on the outside and so many things that separate what happens in this sport, for better or worse. Camaraderie, chemistry, relationships, attitude, your joy for the game. But if I go in every day and I set my stuff down and I have a mentality truly, genuinely, of I want to beat the crap out of the other team, and we have a lot of guys in the room that want to do the same thing, that is going to start to make waves. And Dansby Swanson, from the time that he opened his mouth today at Clark and Addison, from the time they said, okay, we're done, everybody can go home, he was such a genuine person. He was it was not only a good first impression, but you could tell it was real. And I think my biggest takeaway is, well, if he thinks it's real, then I'm going to get more excited as a fan because he's telling us, the fans, the Cubs are ready to win.
Right.
That they're getting close.
Right.
And this guy, this player right here, he did his homework. He name drops Horner. He name drops Happ, Tyone, Bellinger, PCA, Davis. He even name dropped the Steele-Thompson duo as a duo. Who does that?
Me.
I mean, this guy was ready to be a Cub. He is a Cub. I know it was a weird period of time, and it's all archived. We could all go back and look on it if we want to.
No.
But it was clear that he was somebody that they did genuinely target, and he reciprocated that, and it's a good fit.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. You make a good point about him convincing fans, because he could have went elsewhere. He had plenty of suitors. He was the last shortstop on the market, and I think this Correa thing is interesting. I don't want to touch on it too much, but him now being a New York Met with the injury concern and still signing a big deal, and you look at the Mets, you look at the Padres, you look at Philly, you look at the Yankees, and you have to spend money in order to compete with these guys, because they're putting together these rosters that are, I don't want to say super teams because it's not basketball, but they're really, really difficult rosters to compete with. But the way to beat those rosters is intangibles, right?
Right.
And the Cubs should be in a position where they could do both. And I've talked about that. Have a small market philosophy, but a big market, spending, right? And hopefully they get there. But in the meantime, guys like Dansby Swanson, guys like Nico Horner, these are the guys you want late in the season in a pennant race. And I'm excited. I'm excited about the Swanson signing, and I can't really imagine anybody else that wouldn't be. I had a couple of people text me after the live on Saturday. Is like, don't you think we needed more pitching? And it's like, what more pitch? They got a surplus of pitching. It may not be elite pitching.
Pitcher,
yeah. And that's why I still don't understand why they weren't in the Rodon market. And when we look back at this offseason, the two things that stick out to me were missing on Vasquez and not even being connected to Rodon or Senga, really. But to me, this was the number one need, and it was accomplished.
And he opens up the presser talking about his grandfather who recently died, and them watching Cubs games on WGN. That would have been, if my math is correct, like the 2001 to 2005-ish range.
Sure.
When he described that. And, other players have cited that too. And Tyone and Bellinger at their pressers over Zoom this week talked about GN and talked about day games at Wrigley. I guess, not to say I didn't realize it, but it's cool to hear that perhaps some of the history does have an effect, and that the Cubs do have this position nationally or potentially globally as being this brand as they do, and really being a franchise that people hold highly in their minds or have a close spot to them. I will say, though, there is one thing. I just, you bring up WGN again today, Dansby. I just wish they worked out some kind of deal where at least on Saturdays and Sundays they played on WGN. Or at least simulcasted the game.
Yeah, no, it's such like a backhanded compliment, because when these players mention that, and then you turn on Marquee Network and listen to this new robotic go through the motions broadcast, and it's everything that isn't. It's everything that is the opposite of what makes the Cubs. But it's nice to see that it still holds weight, with these younger guys.
It does. It does. Well, Swanson certainly makes the Cubs a better team. And FanGraphs, who releases their projections every offseason, released theirs for the Cubs on Tuesday. The Zips projections are how the Cubs are going to do in 2023, highlighted by all the individual performances. What are they projected to do? What is the outlook? We get to that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every pro and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, they've got it all at BetOnline.net. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. We're back here on Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. All right, so it sounds like a clothing piece of clothing on your shirt, Zips, right? But or some kind of item.
Oh boy, but
yeah, that was bad.
Get me Carson back, please. Get me Carson back, please. I don't want this anymore.
Hey, speaking of Carson, if you haven't checked out the Locked On Cubs holiday party yet, please go back and do that either on your audio feeds or if you're on YouTube on the live tab of our channel.
And do you plan
great
at
fun
all,
on Monday evening?
Do you plan at all on meeting up with me to give me my gift of that thing, or are you just going to take both of everything?
No, I plan on
Okay.
at some point I will have to see you.
Because that hat would be suitable this weekend when it's 40 below.
Yeah, that's true.
It's gonna be the coldest. It's gonna be the coldest weekend since LBJ was in office.
Yeah, it's gonna be really unfortunate weather this weekend. Not as much snow as they said.
Can't wait to watch the Bills and Bears play. Anyway, let's get out of the good stuff.
All right, so Zips projections. I know Sam is going to do a little more on the individual side,
Sure.
but these are projections based on yesterday's roster, so to speak. So whoever's currently on the Cubs, this is who they're projecting and how they get these numbers and these evaluations. So I'm going to go area by area on the field. Offense, bullpen, starting pitching, then overall outlook, basically.
Yep.
And so let me read to you first the offensive paragraph here.
Yeah.
When you look at Chicago's offense, you see a lot of the parts of a 90-win team, but not all of the parts. It's sort of like a birthday cake that's been frosted but lacks any decorations. It's edible, but it really isn't exciting quite yet. So that's on the offense, which
beautifully said.
Yeah, good, some solid writing there. Was there anything offensively that you wanted to get into or unpack, or any question marks that you have, or any potential?
I'll break down the individual stuff in a second.
Right.
You keep going.
All right, starting pitching. Zips doesn't see huge upside for anyone in the rotation, but it does see the top three of Stroman, Steele, and Tyone as a very stable group. Now onto the bullpen. The bullpen looks to be rather mediocre with few outright disasters in the projections, but also no real top-tier makers for high leverage innings. Okay, again, I think a very fair paragraph. Yeah. And finally, the overall outlook. In the AL East or NL West, this might be a team fighting for fourth or fifth place. But in the NL Central, the Cubs look like a team that's somewhere around 500, and the side of that record they finish on may come down to what happens on the injury front. The Cardinals and Brewers are still better, but it's close enough that if the right cards flip over, the Cubs could make things interesting. Right now, I think they're still one star away from forcing the division into a three-way dance.
I think that's perfectly said.
Yeah, it's good writing.
Let me break down some of the projections that they have individually, where I think it might be a little bit weak, and
Okay.
and there's room to grow. So the first thing that sticks out to me is center field. They have Bellinger and Morel together, and that they have that at 2.4 WAR. I think that's low. I think if Bellinger plays a pretty good defense, which he has proven that he could do fairly easily at this point in his career, and just hits a tad, that will be a 3. That number will have a 3 in front of it, and I think he can get there. And then Morel's offense, like I think he can get there. Where I think they miss big is with Suzuki. They haven't projected at 2.7. I understand, WAR is a cumulative stat you have to play in games. If you tell me he plays 140 games, I promise you he's going to be ahead of that. His defense is going to be better than it was last year, and he's going to hit. I think he had a 2 WAR last year in just 120, 125 games. So just on that pace, he's a 3 WAR player, and I think he's going to be way, way improved. They have Mervis, Rivas, Wisdom as a 3-way trio at first base at WAR, projected for 0.7. Matt Mervis could easily be a 3 WAR player. He could easily be one. We don't know that.
We don't know.
Horner's pretty fair at 3.4. Swanson 4.7. The third base tandem, they don't really know anything about it. Catcher's a bit low. And then the only thing that really stuck out to me that I thought was unfair is Kyle Hendricks. Like, there's just so many question marks on the Cubs, and I thought the Zips did a really good job of lowballing him. And by lowballing him, they still have him at a 500 record. Kyle Hendricks, a 1.3 WAR. If Kyle Hendricks is anywhere close to Kyle Hendricks, he's a 3 WAR pitcher. Yeah. So, there's room. They got Wisniewski at 0.4, Matt.
Yeah, Zips they're not. Yeah, which means they're basically Zips isn't on that player yet,
right?
And so I think he's projected, way better,
right? And so my point is you say, well, what's to get excited over a 500 projection? Well, you get excited over a 500 projection because what goes into their math, they're telling you that they think Wisniewski is going to be just above a replacement level pitcher. I don't buy that. No. They're telling me that Seiya Suzuki is only going to be about 2.5 wins better than the average right fielder. I don't buy that either. So, if those things go the right way, and of course, listen, it could go the other way too. I think as this team currently stands, I have them right where FanGraphs. I'd say 81 to 83 games right now, and I still think they have a big slugging percentage move coming, which we are going to discuss pretty shortly here.
Yeah, and you know what these computers don't account for? The team.
Right.
Okay, enough of the computers, enough of the travel ball crap. Okay, let's just play baseball as a team. I'm tired of it.
And intangibles, right? Clutchness, going first to third, not making the first or third out at third base. Those things are really important in winning games, and those aren't in those numbers. And if David Ross is serious this year, that stuff's going to be fixed.
And I hope he is serious, because if he has a 500 team, then it's time for him to prove his mettle as well. But we only have 200 episodes where we could further unpack that until the opening day. Carson should record like in and outs here of segments or something.
Yeah, right.
Should give him some sort of a job. All right, coming up next. So if the Cubs are about a 500 team, could I interest you in another bat that could potentially boost that win total in the form of a Michael Conforto or a Trey Mancini? And we discuss who the Cubs should or could or something sign coming up next. Welcome back into Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. It seems like the Cubs are poised to add a bat. Timeline, not really sure. I don't know if something.
No sources for me either this time.
Yeah. I will say I have touched base with with 670 the score and Marquise Bruce Levine finally. But you know, I could touch base with him on Conforto or Mancini, but we'll see about. I'm going to leave him alone over the holidays.
So let me
Uh,
ask you this, just out of
yeah,
curiosity. So what was the point of that reference there?
I don't know.
Okay, because we didn't really get much out of that.
Maybe I could text. I'll
I
text
mean, if
him
you're,
right now.
I was getting ready for you to break some news, and then we
Wait,
just kind of.
let me text.
It's kind of like me just saying, you know what? I was really thinking about, going outside today, but then I didn't.
All right, let's see if he gets back to me here.
No. I'm just
Okay,
joshing with
so
you.
I think that Trey Mancini. So first of all, these people play different primary positions. I do think either way that if Mervis is slotted in at first base, either way, either Conforto or Mancini is going to be receiving most of their playing time at DH. Okay. So then it's a matter of, well, who do you want and why? So I think ultimately Mancini is an easier, okay, word choice, is an easier fit, but Conforto carries a higher ceiling.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me just get to the cost
Sure.
quickly.
Sure.
Mancini is going to cost less money, at least in terms of AAV. I say in terms of AAV because I think there's a chance that he gets 2 years, even from the Cubs. I think Conforto is going to get a 1-year deal with a similar structure as Bellinger did, kind of with that mutual option buyout. So
prove it.
prove it deal. So in terms of AAV, Mancini, according to FanGraphs, is projected at 10 M's, and Conforto is projected at 14. Okay, so you do have a little bit of a cost savings, depending on if you want to put it to a catcher or a relief pitcher with Mancini. But how much is the 4 M's? That's for Jet and Company to decide. So a little bit of a difference in terms of a cost. And they have more similar career numbers than you might think. Slugging percentage, Sam. Mancini's career slug is 457, while Conforto's is 468. On base percentage, Mancini 330, Conforto 356. So Conforto by a percentage is better than Mancini, but it's not a huge gap.
Man, you look sharp today.
Thank you.
Oh,
I have some breaking news.
Oh.
Bruce, any Conforto or Mancini updates regarding Cubs? Anything close? Bruce Levine, yes, we'll be writing them up soon.
Wow, man. It's very rare when I'm talking sports that I feel completely overshadowed, but both physically and mentally, I got beat up on this show today. I need the holidays. I mean, look at how good you look. Anyway, first of all, the guy I wanted's an Angel, Brandon Drury. And by the way, just a quick
good lineup. By the way,
just a quick sidebar. Tired of the Angels. Tired of the Rangers.
Okay.
Taking all the guys that I want to be lucky to win 80 games. Congrats on DeGrom. Congrats on Seager. Congrats on Simeon. Congrats on Drury. Right. Congrats on Tyler Ranger. You stink, and you're always gonna stink. Okay.
It's the Astros division.
I think Conforto is the move here. Again, I've said this so many times, but wisdom. Wisdom can be your Mancini. I know Mancini's has a much better hitter, but why not take a shot at Conforto at DH? Because you said it. You said I don't have to add much because you said it. The word ceiling. On paper, you go add Conforto. Let's say you're projected to win 82 baseball games. You probably go up to about 84. But if there was another stat of if everything goes right, what could it be? That jumps up even more because Conforto could hit 35 home runs.
Yes.
He has Michael Conforto. I mean, I haven't watched him hit, that often, but he has a ceiling, and his ceiling is a diet soda version of Kyle Schwarber, which Kyle Schwarber hits like 45, 50 homers now. So that would be something that I think would really give this lineup, as FanGraphs put it, some decoration.
Right. Right.
some pop, right? Because now, if you do add Conforto, let's just hypothetically say that you have
Okay.
Conforto, you have Bellinger, you have Suzuki, you have Dansby Swanson, you have Ian Happ. Those are 5 guys that potentially could flirt with 30 home runs. Potentially. Now,
Right.
and wisdom. A lot of that is iffy. I would say the odds are that more than 2 would do it, would probably be less than half, but they could. It's not, you wouldn't fall off your chair if I told you Bellinger hit 30. You wouldn't fall off your
Right.
chair if I told you Conforto hit 30 or Swanson or Suzuki or Happ. So I think it's a move that makes a lot of sense. My guess is, I've said this now since we've been talking about a post shortstop, I think Conforto, I wanted Drury. I think Conforto is the guy. And I think he's been the guy for the Cubs again. This Swanson situation, I had some sources here. I don't. This is just me kind of going off the cuff. But you got the sources, you got the polo, you got the good hair, you got the good smile, and I'm sitting here just looking around, waiting for the alarm to go off to change my laundry.
Oh, geez. Come on. Stop it.
No.
But thank
I'll
you.
go to the gym later. I'll go to the gym.
Hey, what about Conforto also being another lefty on the mostly right-handed team?
Well, yeah,
Or
man.
is that too much?
I forgot Mervis, by the way.
Yeah.
He could hit 30 homers. No, because Happ's a left. I mean, Happ's a switch. Bellinger's a true lefty. Mervis is a true lefty. So I think it's the other way. My concern is if you add Conforto, the everyday lineup, you kind of have too many straight lefties, right? It's actually kind of interesting. If you add Conforto, it's even more of a reason to probably add a Mancini to just have, or to have someone just hit against left-handers, because Wisdom hits left-handers better than right, but it's not like a crazy platoon split like Drury was. That's the only reason I wanted Drury. Is it just, if you added a Conforto and you put Drury on your team, then Drury, he just takes all your bats against lefties. Yeah. We'll see though. I'll do some research before next show. I'm interested, like Morel versus lefties. I don't know his splits. I think that could be kind of interesting for him, maybe in just hit lefty role. Because I remember for a while last year he led off versus lefties. That's where Contreras hurts you leaving, because the last couple years he's just eviscerated left-handed pitching. But that stuff, the platoon stuff, that's David Ross's job. Gets paid a lot of money to figure that stuff out.
So Trey Mancini, perhaps the more likely signing, but my final takeaway here would be, why not try to catch something in the bottle in 23 with Michael Conforto? So we'll see what the Cubs do.
Here, I got it right here.
Players.
No, okay, he was way worse versus lefties last year.
Morel. Who, Morel?
Yeah, it's gonna be a 190 clip.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so they need to get somebody who can hit some left-handers. Gomes can. It's true. It just made me laugh.
Oh, you didn't keep a straight face at all.
No, but I wasn't joking. And I could, if you just filibuster for me for a second, I could back that up.
Well, and I'd be curious the Mancini Conforto lefty numbers as well, because I feel like Mancini hits well against lefties as a righty hitter. But maybe that's a myth.
Gomes hits lefties better, but it's still not good.
It's negligible, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, God bless everybody, huh?
All right. Well, if we're all stuck inside on Friday, Sam and I might jump in for a live show, right? What do you think?
It's up to you, because that's kind of what you do.
Okay. So let me think that over. Yeah. But folks, I might need it for my mental health, honestly. We're all going to be inside, and it's going to be cold. Only 2 inches of snow. The hype train wasn't real with that. Not a huge surprise. But maybe we all hang out on Friday night for a Friday Night Live. We'll keep you posted.
You ever watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when you were younger?
Yeah.
You know how you had the lifelines, and they just one of them was the 50-50?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's how meteorology works today. They narrow it down to 2 scenarios and pick one and hope they're right.
Great strategy. So if we do go live, be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs to let you know when we are live. Smash the like button and all your favorite Locked On Cubs content. Over on the audio side, shout out to everybody listening, Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your pods. And you can drop us a text, 312-834-4634. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make Locked On Sports Today your second listen. Host Peter Bukowski brings you the biggest stories from around the sports world in 20 minutes. Get the analysis and opinions before anyone else with Locked On's local and national experts and insiders. Locked On Sports Today, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy, and this is Locked On Cubs.